All right, top of the morning, top of the evening, top of the night, whatever time zone you are on, we are live. Hello, everybody. A moment of silence for all those who have lost their lives. You see the title, Ghislaine Maxwell has been found guilty on all accounts except one. And let me check the sound in the background. Right, top of the morning, top of the evening, top of the night, whatever time zone you are on, we are live. Hello, everybody. All right, now let's remember this. If we can look up, we can get up. If we can get up, we can go up. Having said that, I want to get to some music before I get to Ghislaine Maxwell charges, and I need to change the title because we're going to talk about the way Pinocchio number 45 has played his followers and others. Again, over an hour ago, Ghislaine Maxwell was found guilty on all accounts except for one.
Hush not, child, and don't cry. Your folks might understand you by and by. Just move on up toward your destination. Though you may find from time to time complication. And take the trip. Though there may be wet road ahead and you cannot slip, just move on up. For peace you'll find into the steeple of beautiful people where there's only one kind. So hush not, child, and don't cry. Understand you by and by. Move on up and keep on wishing. Remember your dream is your only scheme, so keep on pushing. Take nothing less than the supreme best. Do not obey, you must be safe, but you can pass the test. Just move on up to a greater day. With just a little faith, if you put your mind to it, you can surely do it. Just move on.
on that tonight. Let me update this title real quick. Again, Kerensz Maxwell has been found guilty on all accounts except for one. So we'll see what appeals get filed on her behalf, because I'm sure her attorneys, I'm sure her attorneys will file appeals on her behalf. Again, Kerensz Maxwell has been found guilty on all accounts except for one. And that information broke over an hour ago. So I want to get to that right after I change this title. So let me get to this title really quick. Come on, dashboard. I need to update my title. Let's get to these title updates, and then we're going to get off into this information. Okay. Let's go here. Well, I'm right here changing this title. Let me take this off of entertainment. All right, again, what I'm doing is updating my information in real time. So this here. All right, save that. Okay. Something. All right, save that. Just checking my sound in the background. Now let me share out on this now that the title is changed. And let me refresh. You should see the updated title. Surely. There it is. Bushes. Bushes. Y'all doing? There we go. All right, so let's get to this. Kerensz Maxwell. I'm sure many people have seen it. Disclaimer: in accordance with the Copyright Act of the United States of America, sections 106, 107, 107A, 106A, and the others. They have a right to use videos, images, pictures, and the like, so on and so forth. Now, this information is a matter of public records in accordance with the Copyright Acts of the United States of America. This information is now a matter of public records. Here we go. Kerensz Maxwell found guilty on all accounts except for one. So here we go.
everyone was looking at is the
Ghislaine.
reaction from Ghislaine Maxwell. It was hard to
Sorry,
see if she was
Ghislaine
showing any
Maxwell.
real emotion because there was a mask over her face. But I can tell you within moments of hearing guilty on count 1, not guilty on count
Me too.
2,
Y'all
and guilty
playing.
on those other 4 counts, she sort of took a deep breath and looked as though she was pouring herself some water. Again, this is a big day for a number of women, not just the 4 that were the center of this trial, but the dozens of women who accused Jeffrey Epstein of sexual abuse and never got to see his case go to trial. Remember, he was found dead in his jail cell back in 2019, and all of a sudden, the focus turned to Ghislaine Maxwell, her involvement, what she knew, what she didn't know. 4 women at the center of this trial. Again, as you mentioned, she's found guilty on every single count except for count 2, which has to do with the enticement of an individual under the age of 17, specifically as it pertains to Jane in this case, to travel with intent to engage in illegal sexual activity. But a lot of work, a lot of months, and even years when you go back to sort of this coming to light, when you look at what happened with Jeffrey Epstein. Ghislaine Maxwell always maintaining her innocence, but in this case, the jurors believed the women.
And Jessica, let's talk about the actual counts that Maxwell was convicted of. Why was it that she wasn't found guilty of that second count?
Well, only the jury knows for sure why they believe that the prosecutors didn't prove that case. But there was some indication that they might be going that way on count number 2, if my memory is serving correctly, based in part on some of the questions they asked, based on some of the transcript they asked for. I think they asked one question about basically what type of behavior would satisfy count 2. And there was some question, well, does that indicate that they're waffling on all the counts, or are they just going count by count in this case? I will say that I think it actually shows the jury made a very careful decision in this case. Look, there's no 2 ways about it. It's absolutely a repudiation of the defense's tactic here. The defense, frankly, I think trying to blame the victims, saying their memories were faulty, saying that they were really motivated by money, saying that the prosecution in this case was really just trying to go after Epstein, but he was dead, so Ghislaine Maxwell was the only person standing to hold responsible. So 5 out of 6 counts, really it is a jury finding overwhelmingly that the prosecution proved its case. And the fact that it wasn't on all counts, to your question, I think really does show the jury took this not as a whole, but in isolation, count by count, piece of evidence by piece of evidence, applying those pieces of evidence to the jury instructions, to the law, to see if each one in isolation was satisfied.
And so, Jerika, we just heard from Jessica, who mentioned the questions that the jury had along the way. They clearly took their time with their deliberation. It took about a week or so. What were some of the things that they asked for before today?
Mainly the transcripts. They were asking to reread the transcripts from the FBI, from other people who testified on the defense side. And to Jessica's point, whenever it takes a little bit longer than expected, and I don't know if there was really an expectation, but we're talking a number of days, hours of deliberating, knowing also that there's an Omicron variant that is spreading like wildfire, knowing that New Year's Eve is a couple days away, and this judge making it clear that they would be here through all of that so that they could reach a decision in this case. It's really years, like I said, in the making, but going back to your original question, they continue to ask for transcripts, they continue to ask questions, and having covered cases very similar to this involving sexual abuse and things that date back, 10, 15, 20 years ago, I think it's really, really important. I think these jurors took their jobs very seriously, as the judge noted, thanking them for their service at the end of this, because it is a big burden. You're talking about someone's life here, and Ghislaine Maxwell was facing up to 70 years on all the counts, but it's our understanding that she faces up to at least 65 years in prison. We'll learn more about that as this goes on, but as of right now, the big story, Ghislaine Maxwell found guilty on 5 of those 6 counts.
And Jessica, what comes next in all of this? What does the sentencing look like? Jerika talked about those 65 years that Maxwell could potentially face.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think maybe even up to 70 in this case, based on the counts. So in this case, the guilt phase obviously is over, at least on the trial court level, and the next phase will be sentencing. So the prosecution will come forward with a sentencing memo. The defense will say, well, look, we think there's some mitigating factors here. And federal judges have a lot of discretion. There are no mandatory minimums in this case, and they can say, or excuse me, there's no mandatory sentencing in this case. And so they can say, look, we think that this is an appropriate sentence. And they can hear from the victims again. So federal judges have really broad discretion when it comes to giving down these sentences. But look, let's be honest, Ghislaine Maxwell faces years, if not decades, in federal prison.
And Jericka, back over to you. How many victims came forward and actually offered testimony in this trial?
You know, this trial really centered around the 4, but as we know, and we've even spoke to on several of our different platforms, whether it was CBS Morning, CBSN, CBS TV News, a number of people, almost too many to count when you look at the vast range from, you know, specifically with that first count, it had to do with a woman named Carolyn in this case. And those accusations go back from 2001 to 2004. So this is decades in the making, and a number of people, like I said, breathing a sigh of relief, feeling as though they've been vindicated, even though this case centered around these 4 women.
Jessica, first it was Jeffrey Epstein who you see there, now Ghislaine Maxwell. Are there more people expected to be tried for their potential involvement in this sex trafficking ring?
Well, we don't know. I think these were the key players in this case. And of course, as we just mentioned, Ghislaine Maxwell really saying, you're only trying me because Epstein is dead, because there's nobody else to try. It is worth noting that I believe Ghislaine Maxwell also faces perjury charges.
Yeah,
so she's facing another trial coming up.
It's all good in the
anybody
hood.
else involved in this particular, now we can call it criminal enterprise, will be charged. I know that there, I believe, is a hearing with respect to Prince Andrew next week, somewhat, I guess, peripherally related to this. But in this case, I think what Jericka said is so important, which is there were 4 women who came forward in this particular case to talk about the criminal enterprise. And there were a lot of other women who came forward kind of outside the courtroom. And so I think what comes next for these particular players can also be additional civil charges, which obviously in a case of civil charges, all that you have is money. And we know that this was part of the defense's strategy here, where they said, well, these women really just want to get some money from this basically fund that goes to survivors of Epstein's abuses. And we know that ultimately the jury really didn't give credence. We know today, thanks to the verdict, that the jury really ultimately didn't give credence to the idea that these women were motivated by money or faulty memories, as opposed to motivated by justice.
All right, Ghislaine Maxwell found guilty of 5 of the 6 counts she faced in this sex trafficking ring. Jessica Levinson and Jericka Duncan, we want to thank you so much. We're going to take a quick break here, but we will be right back with the rest of the day's news. You're streaming CBSN, CBS News.
All right,
always
CBS, y'all can shout yourself out all day long. Again, Ghislaine Maxwell's been found guilty on 5 accounts out of the 6. Found guilty on all accounts except for 1. Let's move on to Pinocchio number 45. Let me pull that up. And we're going to get to why Pinocchio number 45, which is Trump, played everybody who supported him like a fiddle faddle fool, but that's not news to me. If you had a delayed reaction, and you're not a gambler or a risk taker, or you don't know people who hustle folk, fleece folks, amygdala, and believe in great exploitation and knows how to sell your teeth back to you in terms of a marketing strategy, well, then you got hoodwinked by Pinocchio number 45. So, those who didn't get a clue, you're gonna get a clue today. And I don't care if you pink, purple, polka dot, striped, zebra or whatever, and you was supporting Trump, the Pinocchio, now you getting ready to see why he played you like a fiddle faddle fool. News flash. And it was obvious. It was obvious. Let me let the record show on this. Uh-huh. Come on, put it up. Again, Ghislaine Maxwell has been found guilty on all accounts except for one. She was charged with 6 accounts. She's only been found guilty on 5 versus the 6. So let's get to this.
Might not be worth whatever political points you think you're scoring. Seems bad.
Come on.
No vaccines, you would know anything. I came up.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Let's get to it. Disclaimer. In accordance with the Copyright Act of the United States of America, sections 106, 107, and the others, fair use. For the Trump supporters and the people who's been running around talking about their constitutional rights not to wear a mask, their constitutional rights to die because of SARS-2, which is the disease form of COVID-19, and you thought Trump had your back. He was vaccinated a long time ago, but that wasn't new information. That was no new information. But for the rest of you, now you're gonna get a clue. He said he got his booster shot too. Why many of you are not going to be allowed to fly or travel into other nations. For those who love to travel, you're gonna find out right now why you got played, because you weren't paying attention. But here it is. Let's just let the record show. Let me get off into this and go on here and share this out. For those who think they quick, here you go with your little simple selves.
Which is a huge topic on the minds of mothers, especially. You're seeing what's happening at these school board meetings. Where do you stand on these in terms of big pharma, which is a huge topic on the minds of mothers, especially? You're seeing what's happening at these school board meetings. Where do you stand on these vaccine mandates? And obviously, I know that you are pro-vaccine. Obviously, you did everything you could to get this vaccine out. I know where you stand on the vaccine.
It was one of the greatest achievements. We did it in less than 9 months.
To be able to do that. But now it's taken a twist, right? It's gotten, now we went from, this is a good thing and people should have this option, to military men, you're going to have to resign because you're not getting this vaccine. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I stand on, forget about the mandates, that people have to have their freedom, but at the same time, the vaccine is one of the greatest achievements of mankind. We would have had a 1917,
1918.
Remember the Spanish flu killed perhaps 100 million people. Actually, it ended the First World War because the soldiers was, a lot of people don't know that. The soldiers got so sick. It was a terrible thing. There was no vaccines, there was no anything. I came up with a vaccine, with 3 vaccines. All are very, very good. Came up with 3 of them in less than 9 months. It was supposed to take 5 to 12 years.
You heard what he said. He came up with 3 vaccines. The one who said COVID-19 was a Democratic hoax. Pause for a minute. Now I have to let the record show. And you had some supporters in political parties saying it was a hoax too. And they were mocking wearing masks up on the hill. Now, the one who said it was a Democratic hoax brags about people being vaccinated and vaccines. You Trump supporters got played like a fiddle faddle fool. He's the fiddler and you're the fiddle.
And yet more people have died under COVID this year, by the way, under Joe Biden,
Candace,
than under you. And
that's a lie. You don't have your facts correct. Let the record show that you either don't have the information or you're intentionally lying.
More people took the vaccine this year, so people are questioning
how
the vaccine worked.
Ain't no alternative fact. It's
the ones that get very sick go to the hospital. The ones that don't take the vaccine, but it's still their choice. And if you take the vaccine, you're protected. Look, the results of the vaccine are very good. And if you do get it, it's a very minor form. People aren't dying when they take the vaccine.
What about the masking of children?
So let me pause.
That's a big one for moms right now.
Pump the brakes. Again, let me news flash you all back. He was vaccinated when the vaccine came out. He also has his booster shot, his booster for the vaccine. So while the rest of you was running around, Trump supporters, this for y'all right here, with your heads twisted up in a whirlwind, news flash for you. Let me tell you again, you got played like a fiddle faddle fool. He's the fiddler and you're the fiddle. Yeah, that's right. Right here in your face. Right here in your face. This is what happens when you listen to lies and liars. The same one who told you it was a Democratic hoax is vaccinated with the booster. And let the record show again, one of his grandfathers died from the Spanish flu. Again, remember, I said allegedly his brother probably died from COVID-19 last year. Okay, they didn't say why his brother died. I said probably allegedly. I don't have his medical records. That information wasn't released to the public. So probably from COVID. 1918 Spanish flu. 1918, when the US president then was lying during that time, didn't want the truth to be out in America about the Spanish flu, but then when it hit, oh, what a price to be paid it was. Okay. So let me go ahead and continue to let the record show on this. You're the fiddle and he's the fiddler. The record show. Trump supporters got played. People said it repetitively, but some of you all had your heads up in your behinds and you couldn't see straight. Can you hear me now? Let me let this play.
Terrible thing. I think it's a terrible thing.
That flies in the face of science. The kids have a virtual 0% chance of dying of COVID, and yet they're insisting on these vaccine mandates. I mean, I'm sorry, on these masking mandates, and now even the vaccine mandates for small children. And what's going on there?
For those who did not go to school for science, math, or anything medical, and have been out here running your mouths like motors about this vaccine, you need to hush. You need to shut it all the way down. You need to get to the point of silence, which is the absence of sound. Get your lips there and keep them there when it comes to COVID. Oh yeah. I'm snatching the oxygen out of the room tonight on this intentionally. That's right. Hey, 3000, how you doing? Hopefully you had a good holidays to the people in the bushes. I'm snatching the oxygen out of the air intentionally tonight. Let me say it again. For those who have no medical knowledge because you did not go and study medicine for years and years and years. For those who have no scientific knowledge, chemistry, biology, because you didn't study that for years. For those who did not study science, period. For those who don't do real data and statistics when it comes to COVID-19 and SARS-2, you need to get to silence, which is the absence of sound, and keep your lips locked there and stop running your mouths like motors, because you're no medical professional, you're no scientist, you're nothing in that regards that would lead anyone to allude that you're some profession in that field, a field that you never studied. That's what I have to say about this one running her mouth. She needs to get to silence, the absence of sound. And over here, we like to do real data and statistics, not lies. I don't do alternative facts. I said it a long time ago. Alternative facts that they made up for him was nothing but lies. Call a lie what it is. Anyway, let's roll. Trump supporters.
I think what's happening is you look at the masks where Fauci and a lot of other people said masks don't mean anything. All of a sudden he becomes a radical masker. I don't like to see the kids with the masks on. They're sitting in school. They have a hard enough time sitting in school.
Looks like China. I've been to China.
Well, and yet China's education system is a hell of a lot better than ours. You know what? They're rated number 2 or 3, and we're rated number 44.
That was true.
But masking children, I mean,
no, it's bad.
The way it looks, right? It doesn't look like a free country.
Wait a minute.
I'm against
Wait
it.
a minute.
This is Candace Owens trying.
You jump yourself in here. Hold on. Let me play it back and be quiet this time. China education system is better than ours. Been better than ours for the last few years. Not only that, they had enough sense to make their people mitigate. It wasn't optional. Like some of these ignorant governors over here who wouldn't help us mitigate. Now you having another issue in your state. Can I name some? Georgia, Florida. Yeah. That's right. I said I'm snatching the oxygen out the air on this tonight. Now, let me play it back for the Trump loving ones, because he's been vaccinated, got his booster shot too. Played y'all like some fiddle faddle fools while you and your family dying because you got pre-existing conditions and you didn't want to wear your mask or help mitigate. Gonna live and not die, because remember, he had 10 doctors surrounding him when he caught COVID. Oh, and he had the best of the best that you all couldn't get a hold to because you were not privileged enough to do so because you were not the president. Let the record show. Remember, we said years back when this hit, especially at the beginning of 2020, don't be out here playing Russian roulette with your lungs in your life. Some people aren't here to tell the story anymore. Let me just let it play.
Terms of big pharma, which is a huge topic on the minds of mothers, especially. You're seeing what's happening at these school board meetings. Where do you stand on these vaccine mandates? And obviously, I know that you are pro-vaccine. Obviously, you did everything you could to get this vaccine out. I know where you stand on the vaccine.
It was one of the greatest achievements. We did it in less than 9 months.
To be able to do that.
Yeah,
but now it's taken a twist, right? It's gotten, now we went from, this is a good thing and people should have this option, to military men, you're going to have to resign because you're not getting this vaccine. Where do you stand on that?
Well,
I don't like how she's leading in with the lie, and then I'm gonna let it play after this, but I'm gonna always stop right here. He didn't do everything he could to get the vaccine out. Let me news flash it again. This is the same Pinocchio number 45 who said COVID-19 was a Democratic hoax, right along with some other ignorant folks. But he knew he was lying. Some of the other ones knew they was lying too, especially those in Congress who called it a Democratic hoax and went along with the foolishness. However, some simple people, and I'm gonna call them symptoms right now, some simple people, simple in terms of thinking, feeble-minded. Let me put it this way, some feeble-minded people, because some people might get offended at the word simple, but so what? Put your legs in between your head and kiss your behind goodbye when it comes to this COVID situation. Oh, let me say it again. For some feeble-minded people who was vacillating back and who didn't believe it was real, newsflash, you let somebody tell you it was a hoax, who had no medical knowledge, no scientific knowledge. He's not a chemist. He's not a biologist. He's not a doctor. He's not a nurse. Nothing in the medical field. Neither one of these two up here talking. Not only are they not in the medical field, neither one of them are in any type of science field. No science degrees, nothing, just up here running their mouth. How you gonna talk data and statistics and you don't really know 100%? Now he knows data because he's a gambling man, and that's why he bumped y'all heads for those who were supporting him. High risk taker. He got casinos. You wasn't fist to run game on him, but he sure run it on you all day and night. Gambling people are thinking people. Let me say it again for the ones who didn't get it. Newsflash. He owned a bunch of casinos. What you thought you was gonna slick up on him? No, you was a little bit too slow for him, and rightly so. Just like the one up here asking him questions. She too slow for him. You're not fist to run up on nobody who gamble all day long, every day, and own casinos and think you're gonna be nickel slick with them. No, they're a little bit slicker and quicker than the average Joe, average person, period. Yeah, like this one was. Let me let it play. But no, y'all called it a Democratic hoax. And don't sit up here and tell me he did everything to get the vaccine out. That's a lie. But here we go. I had to just correct the record and let the record show.
And don't forget about the mandates that people have to have their freedom. But at the same time, the vaccine is one of the greatest achievements of mankind. We would have had a 1917, remember the Spanish flu, killed perhaps 100 million people. Actually, it ended the First World War because the soldiers were so, a lot of people don't know that. The soldiers got so sick. It was a terrible thing. There were no vaccines. There was no anything. I came up with a vaccine, with 3 vaccines. All are very, very good. Came up with 3 of them in less than 9 months. It was supposed to take 5 to 12 years.
And yet more people have died under COVID this year, by the way, under Joe Biden, than under you. And more people took the vaccine this year. So people,
you move your lips, you're lying. You move your lips, you're lying. More people died last year. And it's not underneath the virus. The virus is COVID-19. The disease form of the virus, COVID-19, is SARS-2. People are dying from the disease stage of COVID. Starts off as a virus and then it develops into the disease, which is SARS-2. So facts right. One thing I don't like is people up here lying, moving their lips, always lying. I had to pause that again. I ain't rocking with no lies. Joseph Wright, I'm waiting to see if it was indeed a biological weapon of mass destruction or where it came from for real, because they have yet to come with something concrete in that regards. We'll see. See, because remember, Italy said they thought it came from there first, but people weren't paying attention. I was watching international news. Yeah. Italy said they thought it came from there. And then you had some other areas that it could have originated from. Oh, what a tangled web gets weaved. That's right. That's right.
People are questioning how.
Well, no, the vaccine worked, but some people aren't taking it. The ones that get very sick and go to the hospital are the ones that don't take the vaccine. But it's still their choice. And if you take the vaccine, you're protected. Look, the results of the vaccine are very good.
Pause for a minute. I said I would let it play, but hold on. Now you're getting to a little bit of truth. But again, to the Trump supporters, he played y'all like some fiddle faddle fools. He's the fiddler and you're the fiddle. And you should have known, if he wasn't a gambling, high-risk marketing guru within your own right, that he was going to hoodwink you, outmarket you, out-talk you, outthink you, and out-risk take you, because that's what he does. That's his history.
So people are questioning how.
Well, no, the vaccine worked, but some people aren't taking it. The ones that get very sick and go to the hospital are the ones that don't take the vaccine. But it's still their choice.
Okay, Joseph.
And if you take the vaccine, you're protected. Look, the results of the vaccine are very good. And if you do get it, it's a very minor form. People aren't dying when they take the vaccine.
What about the masking of children? That's a big one for moms right now.
I think it's a terrible thing. I think it's a terrible thing.
That flies in the face of science. The kids have a virtual 0% chance of dying of COVID.
Kids are dying from the disease form of SARS-2. Remember, first it starts off as COVID, which is the virus, and then the virus can develop into a more drastic state. And there have been children who have died from what they're calling COVID, but we know it's SARS-2. We watched kids last year die from COVID, 5 years old, another baby, a couple of months old. So we know already she doesn't know what she's talking about. But then again, let me say it again and let me put my weight on this. She's not a doctor. She's not a scientist. She's not a chemist. She's not a biologist. She's not in any type of field. And you, like I said, can put your head in between your legs and kiss your behind goodbye if you sit up and you listen to these two. You're not going to sit up and talk about my life, and you can't perform a surgery on my life, period. The probability that I would listen to you, and you have no medical knowledge, unless you are hearing from the one I believe to be a higher authority, is zero. Zero probability that I would sit and listen to you. You ain't in the medical field. Not only are you not in the medical field, you were not even in the whole holistic medicines. You can't even talk about that. So why in the world would somebody sit up and listen to some people who were not chemists or biologists or doctors? What, you gonna let her perform a surgery on you as well as him? That was my reasoning back then. Neither one of them could perform surgeries on me. So why would I listen to you? If my life was hanging in a balance medically, you couldn't help me. Quit playing.
Yet they're insisting on these vaccine mandates. I mean, I'm sorry, on these masking mandates, and now even the vaccine mandates for small children. Right. And what's going on there? I
think what's happening is you look at the masks where Fauci and a lot of other people said masks don't mean anything. All of a sudden he becomes a radical masker. Crazy. I don't like to see the kids with the masks on. They're sitting in school. They have a hard enough time sitting in school.
Looks like China. I've been to China.
Well, and yet China's education system's a hell of a lot better than ours. You know what? They're rated number 2 or 3, and we're rated number 44.
But masking children, I mean,
no, it's bad.
The way it looks, right? It doesn't look like a free country.
I'm against it.
This is Candace.
Candace is too slow for Trump, period. And Dre, you said she read from a script. I don't care where she's reading from. She's too slow for him. That's right. Just like his supporters were too slow for him. Some of them. The billionaire supporters was playing game like he was playing game because they know how to play the game. But the average person was too slow for him. Just like he talked all through there. He talked her all the way through there. He talked all the way through there. Every street she tried to go down, he shut the door. She was trying to get him to co-sign on what she was saying. He didn't co-sign on nothing she was saying. And she was supposed to be one of his biggest supporters. Well, he played you like a fiddle faddle fool, period. Just like he's sitting up there talking to her again. It's about ratings, attention, and deflecting from the insurrection in January the 6th. So, because he likes to spend and deflect, and he knows how to market, and he also knows how to think because he's a gambler. He owns many casinos. Casino man is a thinking man. Always have been, always will be. People who gamble like to think a lot. They like to think. That's a lot of thinking. And that's also, they're high risk takers. You're not going to own a casino and not be a high risk taker. Yes, you are. He made her look like a fiddle faddle fool. She's the fiddle and he's the fiddler. Just like he did his supporters. He's the fiddler. You're the fiddle. He's playing you. You're not playing him. Why she ran to do whatever that was supposed to be. And he trying to deflect off of January 6th in that insurrection. Talking about he hurried up and got the vaccine to everybody. No, you did. That's a lie. We saw the fights on the news every day. Not only that, all we got to do is go back, let the record show, and bring up the clips in their entirety and let them play all the way through. Okay, the one that kept saying, not China virus, it's a China virus. And then Italy came along and said, we possibly think it could have originated here in Italy first. And I said, what? Or did they miss that? And then other nations started checking to see if it originated there first. Because Italy said, hold on, time out. In 2019, we had some people die from the exact same symptoms, the exact same way, and all this looked the same. So they said, we're going to go back to those bodies that's buried, and we're going to have to exhume some of them because we got to see. And Joseph Wright, it would be interesting to see where this originated from. We know the origins of this is evil. That we do know. But exactly what geographic location it came from, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. And who knows? It'll probably be years from now. Like, unfortunately, things usually happen. And then years later, 20 years, 30 years later, you find out the truth. Or more information is revealed. Okay. Hey, Flower. Here's the thing about Dr. Fauci. He practiced medicines, internal medicines, and quite naturally. I'm sure he has created some form of vaccines. Now, whether or not they got to go to market, who knows? Because let me make this very clear. African-American people, and to others. The first person to really come out with a fluent vaccine was in Africa, and he was African. And during Black History Month next year, I'm going to make sure for my people who don't know history, but knows his story, have knowledge of that. That's right. So let me say it again, because it went over some people's head. Africa had their own forms of a vaccine. Yeah. And it was an African who did that. Yeah. Way before America. Newsflash. But that's why you got to walk back through history and not his story and let the record show. But like I said, we'll get to that in February, Black History Month. You know, the whole month of Black History. I'll be live streaming with Black History. Okay. Now. Oh, okay, Joseph, I don't have any information on him killing thousands of children. But if we want to talk about who killing thousands of children in the USA, we can go back to Ronald Reagan. We can go back to Nixon. We can go back to some others. Hoover. We can go back to some folk. If we want to talk about who killed thousands, we can go way back before Fauci. Yeah, we can go back to my ancestors. We can go back to them slaves. We can go back to those plantations. If you want to talk about thousands of Black children being murdered, we can go right on back to them plantations. Let the record show. And let the record show. And I'll say it again, during Black History Month, you're going to find out where the original vaccine came from, Africa. And you're going to find out who created it, an African, and he was a male. Okay? Yeah, we're going to do that. Yes, we are. And you're going to find out why it was created. But that's the content. Africa is a continent. And so they still have pure soil and pure things and natural stuff. We don't have that in the US. Because we wouldn't let the land and the earth rest for 7 years. The United States wanted to keep going, destroying the land. And you wonder why you can't get no pure air over here, because you didn't let the earth rest. You didn't let the land rest for 7 years like you really supposed to, and heal itself. Let's say it again. The land is supposed to heal itself, and you let it rest like the human body is supposed to heal itself. You let it rest, do what you need to do, and let it what? Heal itself. We were supposed to do that over here. But no, the US just want to drill, baby, drill. Fine, baby, fine. Create, pollute, 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 keep going and going, not letting the land rest so it can restore itself. And we messed this thing up as US citizens. And now it's time to pay the piper. We were not good stewards, period. So one thing I did appreciate about those who did help mitigate last year was everybody being themselves at home without all them chemicals in the atmosphere and the ozone layer beginning to heal itself more rapidly when everybody had their behinds at home. Okay. I was appreciating that from an international standpoint. When everybody had to go home, that's right, go home, go home, go home so the earth can heal itself for a little while. But no, we got some people who greedy, don't care about people, always want to run out, be on some foolishness, and they didn't mess the earth up. And now they sitting up here looking stupid, trying to figure out what's going on. Well, let me tell you, humans are what's going on. They did this. Okay. They helped to contribute to this. How about that? So I gotta let the record show on that. So that there was, again, I wanted to play that. I wanted people to hear Trump saying, oh, the vaccine helped people, but wouldn't he know that? Because remember, Trump was one of the first ones to get vaccinated. Why wouldn't he know that? Why everybody else is running around here talking about they didn't want to wear a mask. His supporters, they didn't want to get the vaccine. And pause for a minute when it comes to the vaccine, because in the testing phase, people aren't going to be apt to run to go get a vaccine. Okay, you still testing. Figure it out. Let everybody else go first. And if they live for a couple of months, then let another group go. And after they go and they all right with it, then everybody else can be like, okay. That's what I was like. I'm gonna see who go. Y'all go ahead and go first. Go first. Let me see what happens. Go. Then after everybody else go, then I can be the last one in line. Y'all go ahead and go. I want to see how this is gonna work out on you. So when it came to that, I'm like, y'all go. Go and let them get that guinea pig testing phase out the way. See how that work out for y'all. And then others can go. But remember, Congress, they were jumping the line to go from the Republican Party, who was saying it was a Democratic hoax. Trump definitely jumped the line because he was in a hospital with COVID. Remember, his wife had it, his son had it, and allegedly his brother died from it. That is my perspective. They not released any medical papers to say what his brother died from, but probably pre-existing conditions in COVID last year. So remember, he's been vaccinated. Not only is he vaccinated, he has the booster. Okay. So, and I bet your bottom dollar, if he attempts to travel to another nation and they have to have that mask on, he's going to have that mask on. By the way, because I said I want to snatch the oxygen out the air for some Trump supporters tonight, let me tell you this. While you sitting your free butt over in the United States of America talking about your civil liberties here, that's where that's applicable to, here. When you get to another nation, you can kiss your civil liberties goodbye. You're going to have to do what they say do over there. Or guess what? You're not going to be over there. And that's the way that's going to go. That's right. So for people who love to travel outside of the US, you better get a clue. And if you don't think that they are taking notes, names, and writing it down, they are. They are. And if you think you're just going to slide on airplanes, on and off airplanes, and do what you want to do in their nation, you're going to get a clue. Okay. Remember the man who tried it last year in Canada? When he got out and Canada told him, if you coming from the US, do not get out of your vehicle to do any sightseeing. You can get out to get gas, get back in your vehicle and keep it moving. You can't sleep here. Gas up, do whatever you're going to do and roll right on through here. That's it. So he decided he would get out and be extra, do some sightseeing and do some extra stuff. And they snatched his backside up. He ended up in jail and they told him, before you get out, $500,000. $500,000 before you get out. You're not in America. Yeah. So, for you Trump supporters are realizing that, okay? And the other Americans who screaming and hollering about their civil liberties. Yeah, okay. You're right not to wear a mask, okay. You're right not to take the vaccine, that's fine. That's fine. But for the teachers, let me say this, for the teachers who have, not for those who are allergic to antibiotics, because that's something different, okay? That's different. If you're allergic, that's different. And I know people have different health conditions and circumstances. But when I hear teachers, former educators coming out saying, I'm not going to do this and I'm not going to do that, I got to call your bluff on that regard, because as a former educator myself, we had to get our booster shots and we had to have certain vaccines to have our hips in the classroom teaching. So for that group that went dumb and jumped on that Trump bandwagon, y'all should have set y'all simple behinds down somewhere and went silent. That's right. We had to have tetanus shot. We had to have flu shots. We had to have every type of shot you can think of if we was going to be in the U.S. teaching, inside a classroom teaching some kids. So these people that's coming up with all this new stuff, quit playing. Teachers, quit playing. As a former educator, I know I had to have a plethora of shots in order to be inside a classroom teaching. That's right. Or I would not have been in the classroom teaching, period. Now, for that group of people who tried to act new, y'all should have sat down somewhere and went silent. Because you know doggone well, you had to have a set of shots anyway, period. If you want to be in a classroom teaching over here. That group that went cray-cray. Stop the dumb stuff. Now, for everybody else, like I said, your choice. You don't have to get vaccinated, but like they're telling you at the hospital, you don't have to do anything. But I will tell you this, I would that everybody would put their doggone mask on and keep them on. Just because you think a certain set of group got vaccinated, who's to say who's vaccinated and who's not? Why people running around in stores without masks on and trying to be all this and all that? You don't know who got what. I'm still wearing my mask. Okay. Forget that dumb stuff. Forget the dumb stuff. Yes, they don't play that in other nations. But I just wanted to show that for the Trump supporters tonight. I just had to flash it back for you. A reality check for you. And why would you believe him anyway? Why would you think that he would do anything that's not advantageous for him, that would not sustain his life? Right? Right? Why he worked everybody up into running out talking about their constitutional rights with his vaccinated booster shot having self? Because one of his grandfathers died 1918 when the Spanish flu hit. Yeah. And in terms of lives being lost at this magnitude, people dying in large groups of numbers at one time, the only thing that we have to compare this to in the United States is the Spanish flu. Why would you think he would go unvaccinated? He already has a history, family history of letting the record show. And so when he sat there and he said, he's talking from firsthand experience. When he sat there and he said, if you're vaccinated, then you won't die from it. You know, you'll get the symptoms or you can get the virus, but it won't lead to death. How would he know that? Because remember, you all, he was vaccinated, okay? And he had COVID. That's how he knows. He's still here. That's how you know. Remember, he has vaccine while he was playing everybody else like fiddle faddle fool. And for the rest of the people, you don't have access to the doctors he had access to when he was the president. Let me say it again. You and your family are not going to have access to the doctors he had access to as the president. Now, you have groups of people in hospitals screaming and hollering when their family members catch COVID, they unvaccinated, and they ended up progressing into the SARS form, SARS-2, the disease form, and they transition away. Why are you all at hospitals acting out? It was your family member's choice. Life is choice driven. Not saying it was a good thing or a bad thing, but while you're on this side grieving, screaming and hollering that doctors and nurses, sit yourself down somewhere and think. Use the thing that's in between your two ears and think. When the doctors are telling you, if it gets to this phase, and the nurses are telling you, if it gets to this phase, we're probably not going to be able to bring your family member back. Why are you screaming and hollering about a decision that your family member made? Why are y'all upset at doctors and nurses? At a decision that your family member made. It makes absolutely no sense. That's nonsense. That's right. Hey, Pete Legal. Oh, P Legal Intel, that's awful. Prayers up for your sister who has COVID, but you know, I don't know why the medical profession and you know the healthcare provider just didn't stay there, but at home, you know, you can impact at least 50 people if you have it. I mean, how you doing, Star Child? Dre, you said you avoid large crowds. You had your mask on. I had my mask on. Okay. When I leave outside the house, I got my mask on. When I'm in stores or anywhere, I definitely still have my mask, plural. If I'm not wearing my N95 mask, I am doubled and sometimes tripled up with a mask. You won't catch me with less than 2 masks on. I'm just not going to play Russian roulette with my lungs. Okay. I believe you know, live and not die, life and not death. I'm not trying to die before my time. Okay. That's just not wisdom. I still have work to do on this earth. I'm not trying to do that. Okay. Oh, P Legals. Oh, good, Star Child. Good. Okay. Oh, so P Legal, you said the health provider is not following CDC rules. You know what? To anybody who watched this that's a health provider, that's selfish. You know, you have got to be one selfish self-centered, non-caring, callous-hearted individual to take your behind into the office and you know you have tested positive for COVID and you take your behind in that office, you won't wear a mask, and then everybody in the office, even the patients that you're seeing walking out of there, and they get a test and they test positive for COVID because of your selfish, self-centered, callous-hearted self. Why would you do that? That person needs to be banned from practice. Why would you do that? If you knew you tested positive, why would you take your, and you in a medical profession, you have to see patients all day. Why would you even go to work? Why would you do that? That is just so callous-hearted, cold. That's callous-hearted. And I hope they turn around and sue you. Shucks. Letha, you think your sister had a new version? The new virus? I'm not laughing because of her having a virus. I'm laughing because you posted this, Letha. Letha, don't make up nothing for you. Letha, don't give your sister a diagnosis that's not there. Oh, good, Star Child, a full suit. Now, Star Child is on to something. Remember, we watched Naomi Campbell when she traveled, and she's been traveling this way for years. And she always takes her for years, because like she said, she has to go back and forth to all these different nations. And so she always have her hit a vitamin C pack that she takes. She has her vitamin D pack of medicine that she takes, and she has her other minerals that she takes. And remember, Naomi Campbell has always traveled for years in a full body suit when she's on an airplane with her glasses on and her hair covered, her hairnet, like just completely covered. She's been traveling this way for years. And so Star Child, that's right. You know, that's the safe way to travel. If you are flying back and forth on an airplane, have a suit, top and bottom. Cover yourself. Big goggles on your eyes. Do what you need to do to protect and preserve you. Okay. Oh, the doctor said it was too early. She had a sore throat, muscle, and pains in her body, Letha. Okay, P legal intel. Okay, you have a doctor who's a nurse. Okay. Yeah, I've been hearing the version is not like other versions either. It's you know, it's been I still think more information is needed on this latest strand of the virus. And for me, we should never be premature in getting the information out. And at the same time, we need to, you know, they can only get out the most accurate information and update it daily. But to me, when things come along, I think they need to go ahead and make sure and continue to test it out in terms of seeing, you know, this patient got it, you know, this patient has it, comparing and contrasting. And I'm sure they've been doing that with the patients who had the different forms of it, and, you know, versus, so, you know, when you're doing your sets, your data sets, you're going to go pre-existing conditions, and the patient gets the virus. well, what happens to that patient and what type of pre-existing conditions does that patient have? Okay, then you're going to, then it's another set. And all of this is going to be based on age, okay? So you break it down in age category. We already got our ages there. So we already have them category listed for age, all right? Now we go to pre-existing conditions and the type of pre-existing conditions they have, all right? And then we go to some who have no pre-existing conditions, or some who may have what seems to be mild, a mild version of, or may be at the precipice of pre-existing conditions. And so you have to take it case by case, and then you start comparing and contrasting. And you're going to want to do it with blood types too, because remember, everybody, we have different blood types, and the life is in the blood. So you go with the different blood types. You're looking at it that way. You're looking at, like I said, the pre-existing conditions. You're looking at the age range. You're looking at those who are on the precipice of having pre-existing conditions. And then you're comparing and contrasting with people who are really healthy, with no pre-existing conditions. That means no high blood pressure, no diabetes, no, chronic illnesses or anything like that. No lung failure, kidney failure, any of those things. Just what would seem to be a healthy person's body, seeing if they had that, snapshots of that person's body prior to the virus hitting their body. And so, you're comparing it and contrasting it against a bunch of different things, because everybody DNA is unique to them. And so you're going to want to, I'm assuming that the doctors are getting as close as possible or to a person with a similar type of genetic makeup. And when they are running their analysis and comparing and contrasting, as well as looking at the data sets and information that come back from this virus, data turn information from the various viruses that are out there. So, as well as people who had the Moderna vaccine, what is it, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and who's at the Pfizer. Those are the three, right? And just seeing how it's working within those different groups or categories of people, and so on and so forth. I don't care either, Dre. You got to do what you got to do. Okay. All right. You have to do what you have to do, Dre. And that's just the fact, because at the end of the day, it's only one you. Okay? It's only one you. So do what you have to do. Again, everybody, I wanted to show Pinocchio number 45, playing supporters like a fiddle faddle fool, per usual. But allegedly, she was supposed to be one of his biggest supporters or whatever with that. Whatever with that. I don't know. It's a certain level of foolishness that I just don't like. You wouldn't, whatever with that. How much money was you running? Were you at his campaign, helping from sun up to sundown and calling everybody and stuff like that? Showing up to speak don't make you a big supporter to me. How much time, effort, and energy were you putting into that person's campaign? How much money or how much services that equal money were you running? Because being out there to speak when you getting paid, whatever with that. Okay. Whatever with that. Biggest supporter thing, quote unquote, whatever with the dumb stuff. Because I'm gonna watch the money. And if you're getting paid to go speak for somebody, you getting paid. That's a job. Okay. Or you're contracting yourself in. So miss me with the foolishness in that regards when it comes to people talking about I'm the biggest supporter. Okay, whatever. Okay, so That's my perspective on that. I wanted to show him playing his supporters like a fiddle faddle fool, as usual. Those who participated in the insurrection, and we're going to get there when they had that hearing, which would be open to the general, open to the public. Oh, we're going to get to that hearing on January the 6th when they finally get to a hearing about the insurrection. Okay, those people that were participating are going to prison. A lot of them already got sentenced. Not a lot, some of them, because it was a lot out there in that crowd, have already been sentenced. They're going to prison. One person got 10 years, one person got 5 years, a person got 3.5 years. They're going to prison. While he was up there inciting, they already got their sentence. He's still out free. Okay. The other ones who were supporting him, Rudy Giuliani and all the rest of them, Barr, you not slick either. It's gonna go right back to you. Roger Stone, they bringing you back in there too, and everybody else. Roger Stone look like you may be going back to prison. It looked like some of these who are supporting him are going to find themselves in prison or right back in prison while he's still running around free. Okay. Food for thought. Say la. Pause and think about that for a minute. All right. And at the beginning, Ghislaine Maxwell, and they pronounce her name so many different ways, was found guilty on 5 accounts out of the 6 accounts that she was hit with. So she could possibly face 70 years up in prison. But again, her sentencing hearing has not happened. And I'm sure her attorneys are going to appeal on her behalf. She has the money to do so. So I know her attorneys are going to file some type of appeal on her behalf and things like that. Well, P legal. Yes, Dre Day. Yes. P legal. Look. A lot of them ended up in prison, so oh, okay, Letha. All right, before I get off here, we're gonna get to the music. You're saying the motion granted in R. Kelly appeal. Did a motion get granted in R. Kelly appeal? Robert Sylvester Kelly appeal. Okay, so his attorney, Jennifer Bongjing, the one who's the lead attorney now for him, Jennifer Bongjing, put in the first motion to request time to look over the documents from the trial that he had. That one was granted, and then she put in a recent motion to request more time, and that motion was granted as well too. So she has more time to look over all of the documentation, because remember, when they filed anyway, that was over. They said when the prosecutors came in, they did over like close to 3,000 documents. And so that's just in the first filing. Okay, so you're dealing with 300 documents to read through, and then you got to read through motions for discovery. You know, you got to look at the evidence and different things like that. So she needs more time. And so that was granted. Both of those motions for her to get an extension on time to look over the documents to get what she needs submitted has both been granted. It was granted the first time, and the recent one that she put in was granted as well. So yes, to give her more time. And simple motion, Letha, what I call simple motions to request extensions for more time. And I already knew those would be granted. I mean, they get granted all the time. And I can only say this again about his attorney, Steve Greenberg, and the attorneys he had prior to hiring Devereaux Canick, which only really got to look at had what, maybe a month and a half to look over his documents, probably less than that once they stopped playing the game, then sent his discovery to them. Okay. He didn't come into the ground with 2 years worth of information, 2.5 years worth of information to go in the court and litigate on R. Kelly's behalf with, okay? Same extension, and I'm getting here, and then I'm gonna circle back around to what's in the title, that Greenberg could have been filing on his client's behalf, as well as the other attorneys, Tom and the rest of them, same things they could have been doing. That's what she's doing. Motions for extensions. When you know you don't have all the information, or you know the discoveries, it's not there in its entirety, or you know you need more time. Same stuff they should have been doing, could have been doing. But like I said, Jennifer Bongine is the cleanup woman. That is her history as an attorney. She comes behind cases, people sitting in prison for years, and she cleaned the mess up. She cleaned up one. So she gonna clean it up. So yeah, at least it was. All right, now let's go back here. Again, Pinocchio number 45. When you go back and you watch the video, played his supporters like a fiddle faddle fool. He's the fiddler and they are the fiddle, period. In the story, some of them thought they were smart. No, he's a gambling man. Gambling people think all the time he owned a bunch of casinos. I don't know why you thought you was going to get anything past him. Mine is constantly going. People who own casino mines are constantly going. People who gamble and are high risk takers like that. Mine constantly going. Not only that, remember, he was a marketing specialist in his own right years ago. Okay. So I don't know why they thought they was going, when he came out with the book, The Art of the Deal. And I said it's the art of the steal because he know how to flee, steal, and hustle the American system. Yeah. So you get to that, and like I said, Ghislaine Maxwell, she was found guilty on 5 accounts of the 6. So we'll see how it goes for her. And like I said, I do expect for her attorneys to file an appeals, or, you know, just do what they do in terms of law. I expect for them, because she definitely had some well-known attorneys. And so I expect for them to meticulously go through the appeals process on her behalf. Yeah. Yeah. All right. With that being said, let's get to some music and let's get out of here. Because I'm looking at my light. My lights usually being came on by now, but I need to go make sure my curtain lights are plugged in. They usually, my curtain lights usually turn their stuff on at after 7 o'clock, though they plugged in, but tonight, I guess they doing what they want to do. Other lights on, but like this acting. My other lights acting a little crazy. So let's go out on some music again, everybody. I want to say stay safe, please and thank you. Do what you need to do to take care of your health, your family. Also remain vigilant. There's a lot going on. Don't get hoodwinked and bamboozled by people, leaders, or whoever, whatever. She taking care of you.
Hush now, child, and don't cry. Your folks might understand you by and by. Just move on up toward your destination. Though you may find from time to time complications. Cannot slip. Just move on up. For peace will find into the steeple of beautiful people where there's only one kind. So hush now, child, and don't cry. Your folks might understand you by and by. Keep on wishing. Remember your dream is your only scheme. So keep on pushing. Take nothing less than the supreme best. Do not obey, rumors people say, but you can pass the test. Just move on up to a greater day. With just a little faith, if you put your mind to it, you can surely do it. Just move on up. Move on up. We move on up. Watch out, we just move on up. We move on up. Move on up.
right, you outside and do a little viewing of my curtain lights. I'm sure there's some water in there somewhere. Though my plugs are taped, so they don't have any water running through them, but somewhere is some water, or somewhere is something going on. All right. So having said that, you all make sure you stay safe, have a pleasant evening and a pleasant night. Thanks for streaming, everybody. Stay vigilant and make sure that we are utilizing our brains and not being exploited, and our amygdalas are not being fleeced by the games, the trickery, and the bewitching of others. Having said that, you all have a pleasant evening and a pleasant night. Bye-bye, everybody.